Hi, everybody. This is Monica. I am a retired nurse practitioner with a doctorate in nursing, and now I work as a wellness coach for women over 40 to help you become healthy as you age. Today is the last day of our 5-day hormone reset boot camp. And today we're going to talk about integration of all of the things that we've talked about over the last 4 days and what your next steps should be. So I'd like you to just think a few minutes as you watch the videos. What was your biggest takeaway from this week? What strategy made the most noticeable difference for you? And what was the most challenging part of making changes? It would be great that if you're watching either on YouTube or on Facebook, if you put your answers in the comments, that way other people can see and maybe people will respond as well. So, over the last 4 days, we've talked. First, we did self assessment intentions. So, that was an exercise where you answered questions about your mood, your sleep, that type of thing, and what your intention was in attending the boot camp or in trying to change your hormones. Mostly, you want to talk about your goals for making changes in your life. So, because someone can force you or try to force you to make a change in your life, but if you're not ready to accept that, it's not going to work. So you really have your own goal for your life, for what you want your life to be. And it's something that I think people should all write down and keep it somewhere where they see it. It doesn't have to be visible to anyone else in your household or your friends. You could keep it in a pocket. You could leave it in your wallet. You could, if you live alone, you could put it on your bathroom mirror. Just to remind yourself every day what your goal is. My goal is to be healthy as I age. And despite having medical conditions, which do come with age, and some of it was due to not being attentive to it as I was aging, since I'm a little older than the 40 years old. But for going forward, my goal is to remain healthy. I really am working on making sure that I prevent falls, making sure that my medical conditions do not worsen. So I take my medicines and I watch my diet. I did recently lose over 40 pounds because I was in the obese range. So I needed to change that. So I had goals and I have actually been sticking with these goals, which is pretty good for me because sometimes I tend not to follow through on what I think that I'm going to do. So the next thing is the hormone supportive nutrition. So just being aware of the types of foods that you might wish to include or should include in your diet and things that you should try and get away from. So all those highly processed foods are things that we should try and limit in our diet every day and try to take on more and take in more of the whole foods, whole grains, leafy green vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, things that are higher in omega-3s, like fatty fish. Changing your diet that way so that you actually will gain benefit from the nutrients that are in fresh fruits, vegetables, and meats, and dairy, that type. Movement and mindfulness was all about how we think about ourselves and how we manage our bodies. So being mindful of what you eat, being mindful of how much exercise you get, being mindful of things that cause you stress and try to avoid them, and then spending a little time, maybe every evening, even if it's only a couple of minutes, writing down some affirmations or some gratitudes, something for you to reflect on your day and pull out the good for that day and try and prevent focusing on the negatives. Focus on the positives every day and recognizing what maybe you could have done better and strive to do that the next day. And yesterday we talked about sleep reset. Sleep is a huge issue in perimenopause and menopause. And learning sleep hygiene is really important. Changing the way your bedtime ritual may be, if you're someone that spends time on your phone, tablets, computer before you go to bed, hopefully you recognize now that that actually inhibits melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, and also encourages dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter that causes you to be all hyped up. You don't want the dopamine at night, and you do want the melatonin. So changing your sleep habits would go a long way to helping you sleep at night. Now, nothing I've said this week is new, probably to a lot of you, is groundbreaking, but it all is all based on research, not research that I have done, but I've researched this information, and I always use sources that have the research behind it. So I can find the article, I can find the research report that talks about whatever issue or whatever solution to a problem is. So that's an important thing too, is making sure that whatever you choose to do, whatever you choose to take into your body, whatever you choose to do for exercise, that there is scientific research behind it. We do know that there are a lot of people on the internet that are touting things that are going to make you better, that are natural, and downplaying or actually giving false information about very beneficial medications and whatnot. It's important for you to do your research and not just believe whatever you hear on the internet. So it's important now for you to build your own individualized plan. You use an action template. I had a bundle that you could download, and I will put it in the comments. It's a free bundle. It's got all of the worksheets for the week, plus it's got a special offer in there if you download the bundle. So the action plan template that you should try and use, you need to look at nutrition. What is your goal for nutrition? What habit will you try and maintain that you maybe started this week in your eating habits? As far as movement is concerned, how are you going to stay active? Maybe you've already been active, but it might be fun to try something different. So if you're someone that goes walking all the time, perhaps try some other type of activity. Maybe you'd like to try golf because that does involve walking. Or maybe you want to try sprint, so you can walk and run a little bit for 30 seconds, just to change it up a little bit. So thinking about how you're going to stay active and not just sit and watch TV, or if you're working in a job where you have to sit all day long, what are you going to do during the day that is going to benefit your body as far as movement is concerned? Sleep. So what is your bedtime commitment? I like that, bedtime commitment. What are you going to commit to do or not do to prepare for sleep? I don't even leave my phone in my bedroom. The phone is in another room. because I know that I will be doom scrolling if the phone was in front of me. Stress reduction. What mindfulness practices can you use? Some of the one I gave you some mindfulness practices, things to help you with anxiety, such as the 4-7-8 breathing exercise. What can you incorporate into your daily life that's going to help reduce stress in your life? So here are some goals. Like talking about drinking water. Water is really important for kidney function. It's important for hydration. And fun fact, when you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated. So you start to get dehydrated long before you feel thirst. So it's really important to drink water throughout the day. Some people carry those giant jugs around with them. That's not me. But I do always have a glass of water nearby. I work from home. I'm home all day. It's easy for me to get water. It was much more difficult when I worked in the hospital because you weren't allowed to keep any food or drink on your workstation. That was in patient areas. So things had to be left in the back room, which would mean you would have to leave your work area to go to the back room for a drink of water. It's kind of, I used to think it was kind of counterintuitive that people in healthcare weren't allowed to freely drink water throughout the day, but that's how things go. How about 10 minutes of yoga before bed to improve sleep? Well, I don't think I'd be doing yoga before bed, but there are a lot of people that do like to do yoga. But I think even 10 minutes of maybe journaling, not anything fancy, just, your thoughts on the day. 10 minutes in a nice warm bath. 10 minutes where you could put some essential oils in your diffuser and maybe read a book, an actual book, printed, not on a tablet. So those are some things that you could do. It's also important for us to think about that we're always going to have obstacles throughout the day and obstacles in our journey to get healthier. What might they be? So let's be proactive instead of reactive. What is the problem going to be with me trying to maybe go to the gym 4 days a week? I have to look at what my schedule is and what other things are going on in my life. Am I going to be able to get to the gym? So that's thinking about your obstacles are going to help you be successful. And then when the unexpected does happen, because that's what happens, how are you going to adapt to that? Are you just going to fall apart, or are you just going to go, forget it, I'm not going to the gym now because X, Y, and Z happened? We have to have a plan then for these things when they come up. Can you pivot? I like that word, pivot. Can you pivot when something unexpected happens and you were trying to get something done for your health? Long-term success starts with your short-term goals, which then become your long-term goals. Some ways you can do that are habit stacking. So you already do one thing, so add a new habit to that. So maybe every morning you always have a glass of apple juice. So why don't we add some protein powder and some yogurt and make a smoothie instead? Accountability. If you could find somebody that's in the same position as you, one of your girlfriends, and then say, why don't we make each other accountable? If you make a plan, you can check in with each other. Hey, how did your gym session go today? Or maybe even they can be your partner at the gym. That way you're both accountable to each other. And then making small adjustments. So if you tried something new and you feel like it was a giant failure, instead of just quitting it entirely, how can you modify it so that you still get some benefit from it? So it just involves some thought and planning instead of just being reactive. And it's great if you can find some resources for continued support. Of course, I'm one resource. You can have a free call with me, 15-minute call, where we could talk about what you could do to improve your health. You can buy books and meal plans for deeper learning. I do offer some suggestions on my Art of Healthy Aging website, recommendations for some books that you can get from Amazon. You can use online groups and do monthly wellness check-ins. So looking on Facebook or any of the other social media to find groups that you can be a part of. And if you might find somebody in that group that feels the same way you do, and you can end up speaking with them one-on-one through Messenger or some other app that you could use. So even someone that lives far away from you could be your accountability buddy. And then there's lots of other things that you can find that are hormone balancing tools and tracking apps that you can get for free or for a small fee if you feel you need something like that. So I would love for you to think about these questions. What's one thing you're most proud about that you did this week? How has your perspective changed on your hormone health? And what are you going to do right after you get off of this video? So your daily action steps, your homework, commit to one small, sustainable habit. Write a short note of encouragement to yourself and share your biggest win with us, or you can share it with your family, or if you found an accountability buddy, with them, or just share it on your website or your Facebook page. These are my two websites. On the Art of Healthy Aging website, I have some free and low-cost digital resources. I have my blog. I have my podcast. And I'm adding information every day. It's in general about healthy aging, not specifically about perimenopause and menopause, but in general about healthy aging. And on the Prime of Life Wellness website is where I have all of my upcoming courses. I'm still working on it. Things are going to be going live in January. If you pick up that bundle, the Hormone Reset bundle that's free, there is a special offer in there for a course. So that is it for today. Thank you for watching. And I hope that this has been helpful.